Hello and welcome. This is Brad Cooper with ClientWhys. Very happy to have you all here today. I know we have a pretty big crowd, so a lot of folks are just joining us now. Thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us today in going through some of the ways to grow your practice online. And so my name is Brad Cooper. I'm with ClientWhys, and I'd like to also introduce quickly our CEO of ClientWhys, Lee Reams, who is my partner in crime, I guess, in the last few webinars. Lee, say hello.
Yes, thank you, Brad. I'm excited about this topic. Hopefully we can keep it short enough that we can cover all the ground we need to.
A lot of ground to cover, indeed. And then I'd also like to introduce our friends over at CPA Academy. We have Scott Zerrett and Matt who are joining us. Scott and or Matt, if you want to just say a quick hello to the folks.
Yeah, this is Matt. I'll just say hello and thank you very much. Looking forward to working with you at ClientWhys, and as always, happy to provide CPE content to our members.
Great, perfect, thank you. We're excited as well. CPAs are a big part of our client base and our audience, and very glad to have the folks from CPA Academy partnering with us, and all of you for joining us from there. And so, as Lee said, we do have a lot of ground to cover today. We may move a little quickly, so try to keep up. We are on this topic kind of going back to the basics a little bit. So the end of summer, schools are in session, so we're going back to school here a little bit. Not to say that there won't be some deep kind of technical and specific content, but we're going to cover a lot of ground across a lot of different areas of digital and online marketing. About our presenters, I did just introduce Lee, but Lee, if you wouldn't just mind taking another minute to maybe just give a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure, Brad. So about myself, my name is Lee Reams. Obviously, I was involved with our previous company called Image One, which we worked with tax accounting professionals, independent professionals, primarily on the print side. So back in the old days of Image One, we developed print content, newsletters. We were one of the biggest presentation folder manufacturers in the country. We built that business up to 40,000 customers across the country and sold it because we knew digital marketing was going to disrupt everything. No, we weren't that wise, but we did take the steps to start progressing our content, because that's what we were really good at, and start tackling the digital side and kind of learning as we go, so to speak, and taking our content to really help our professionals as they went into the digital world. We now have, obviously, ClientWhys and TaxBuzz. A lot of those tools that we've developed over the last 8 years are things that we're going to be talking about today.
Perfect, thank you. And so again, my name is Brad Cooper. I've been with ClientWhys a few years now and have a pretty rich background in digital marketing, specifically working with practices and small businesses around social media, email marketing, online marketing, quite a bit of experience with bigger companies as well, with companies like Apple and Xerox and all that. But my passion is sort of working with small practices, and we work with them every day here at ClientWhys. Now, if you came to this webinar through us, through ClientWhys, you can also get CPE credit through us. There's a link there. We will send out the link with information. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to pop on chat, and we can answer any questions that you have about getting the CPE credit through ClientWhys. All right, a little bit about what you're going to learn today and going through digital marketing, online strategies, very important part of any practice. We're going to talk about some easy ways to grow referrals. Referrals and online word of mouth are some of the best types of business clients that you can get. We're going to go through some of that. It is sort of a maze, and there are a lot of different aspects of digital and online marketing. So we're going to go through some of the key ways today that you can optimize and prioritize your focus on your digital investments. And then some strategies around a couple of different areas: website, email marketing, social media, search engines, reputation building. We are going to try to cover all of those areas a little bit today, and then some practical next steps for your firm specifically. So Lee mentioned a little bit about it, but just quickly about ClientWhys, there are a lot of different areas that we cover. We've helped thousands of small accounting and tax practices around the country. We've been in business many years, and that is our passion. We do believe that accountants and CPAs are the lifeblood of our economy here in the United States and around the world. So that is a key focus area for us, and along with our site TaxBuzz, which we're going to talk about. And then we're also big believers in education, and that's why we love partnering with companies like CPA Academy, because we also have a very strong education focus. We do offer a lot of webinars, our blog. We have seminars, live seminars, around all of these different areas. So in June, we focused very specifically a whole hour on reputation building. In July, we talked about social media. Again, those are 2 presentations that you may visit our YouTube channel to download. And then today, we're going to cover a few more areas, including those 2. So across all of these different areas, look for webinars and blog posts and all different types of education and content. And so for today, we're going to talk about why invest in online marketing. What are some of the reasons that that's important? 5 steps to your online success. So we're going to go through the strategy. Websites and email marketing is sort of the core of your marketing base. We're going to talk about social media, search engine and search engine optimization, or SEO as you may have heard it called. Reputation building, some of the common pitfalls to avoid, because there are a lot of pitfalls out there and places you can get lost or get stuck. And then we're going to go through the summary and some next steps. So that's a full agenda, and we're going to get right into it. So why invest in online marketing? I believe many of you are here today because you already have some interest, belief, you've been doing online marketing, but really it is 90% in the U.S. here that have access to the internet and online. So unless you're going after the 10% who are not yet online and may never be, it is the place to go to reach your prospective clients. And then a survey was done last year by a company called Bright Local, where they surveyed small businesses and practices, and at least 75% of them said it is very effective for them in utilizing online strategies to attract new customers. And obviously, we see it every day with our clients. We have so many case studies of clients who weren't really investing in online. They started to and have seen great success. So it's great to reach and connect with prospects and clients, but then also referral sources. So even if your main source of business is word of mouth, you're going to reach influencers, community leaders, local media, other types of professional practices online. It is really, in my experience, and again, I've been doing marketing for 20 years across TV, radio, print, online, it is by far the highest return on investment of all the channels that you can invest in for your marketing. It's the best way really to showcase your expertise too. So with blogs and social media and video, so many different ways to demonstrate your knowledge, your expertise to help and serve your clients. And to generate eventually those word-of-mouth referrals, and to build and safeguard your reputation. There's no better way than the internet and online marketing. And if you still aren't a believer, here's another survey that showed from small business owners what they say drives new business. Yes, referrals from online, but also the website and social media and things like email marketing and online ads. And at the bottom here, you see the things like radio, TV, yellow pages, billboards, all of those things businesses are saying are not effective anymore, or not as effective anymore, and online is really the way to go. Okay, so we're gonna that's a lot. We're gonna and hopefully you got all that, and we're gonna go and launch the first poll question here. And so I just went through some of those reasons why your practice really should be investing in online marketing, and I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll question for you right now. And go ahead and choose the best answer out of all of those 4. And we're going to go ahead and launch that poll. So hopefully you all can see that. And I'll leave it open for a little bit there. So reach more prospects and clients, get higher return, an ROI on your marketing to increase your word of mouth, or all of the above. So what would you say out of all of those things is the best reason to invest in online marketing? And I'm going to give it just a minute. And so because we do have a lot of content here, you do have to be fast and furious and pay attention and make sure you get these questions, the answers into these questions, okay? Looks like we're pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and close it now. Okay, and so it looks like a lot of you did, or almost all of you did a fantastic job, so way to keep up on those and going ahead. So, all right. So now we're going to dive into the meat of the presentation here. So 5 steps to your online marketing success. And so the first step really is your strategy. And that strategy really does depend on your overall firm strategy. So matching you and your brand, your clients, what services you offer, and specifically along the lines of your unique value and services. So these are going to be important things to iron out, make sure you've got a good understanding of if you're going to be advertising and doing websites and doing things online. Your online strategy needs to match these things. And then also think about whether you're going to focus more on growing your firm, new clients, serving your existing clients, or for most of our clients, it's some mix of both, And then really think about is in terms of your niches. And so you might have a general base of clients, but then is there a specific industry or specific type of service that you want to own? You want to own a niche and how that plays into your online strategy. What are your overall practice success metrics and goals? And so is it a certain revenue number that you want to hit, a revenue growth number, and then tie that into online and how that is going to help you prioritize and plan ahead for your online, because you really do need to plan for the next 1 to 2 years. Online marketing, there are many things that are fast, but most of this and what we're going to talk about takes time. And that is one of the challenges we see with working with our clients is they do expect, because the internet is online and it's fast, that you're going to see overnight success. Well, sometimes you do, but most of the time this is an investment. And so you need to plan ahead for the future. As I said, you need to be patient and a long-term plan. So along with your practice metrics or goals or things that you're going to track in terms of success, also set goals for yourself online. And a few of those examples might be your website traffic, how many online inquiries and phone calls you're getting, search engine rankings, testimonials and reviews that you get, how many of those across what channels, social media, revenue growth. Those are some of the things. And then finally, in terms of your strategy, definitely try to get some help. This is a fairly complex and robust area. There's a lot we're going to teach you today. There's a lot you can learn. But I would say in general, it's about like advising your small business clients where you tell them, hey, you really need some help on your tax and accounting. It's somewhat similar in that companies like us at ClientWhys can be a great help to you in setting this plan and helping you to implement it along with your team and your team members and the time and investment that you need to plan ahead for with your strategy. And so the other thing I'll mention around strategy is the types of clients that you want to reach, and then who are those potential referral sources. So this will help you with your online strategy to identify, is it your clients? Are you looking for referrals from other accountants, business attorneys, commercial realtors, and bankers? There are many places that you can get referrals, and through that, and if you identify those, that's going to guide your online strategy as well. Okay, so step number 2. So step 1 was setting the strategy. Step 2, your core marketing. And that, what I mean by that is your core online marketing, and the first piece of that is your website. And we could spend a whole hour or 2 hours on this topic, but a couple of good points on this, and then we'll kind of go on. But so what makes a good website? One thing I would say overarching your website is don't take it too seriously. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. It is important. There are companies like us that can help you make a very professional, nice site that's going to accomplish all these things, but it's not the end. It's not the end-all, be-all. Just because you launch a site doesn't mean you're done. So it is important, but put it in perspective along with all of these other things. So a good website is obviously, it's professional, it's modern looking, it's pleasing to your eye. Photos are very important. Your photos of your staff, photos of your clients, local scenery to set the stage of where you're located. And then your site should really answer some key questions for your prospective clients especially, but also clients. What services do you offer? What information and tools you're providing? What are others saying about you? Very important. People want to see reviews and testimonials when they come to your site. Are you experienced? How are you demonstrating that experience? Who are you? Don't hide out. Show who you are. Show your picture. Where are you located? How can I contact you? And then are there things like tools to exchange secure documents, things like that. So keep all of these questions in mind in looking at your site and determining whether your site answers the key questions that your prospective clients are going to have, and make sure your site can answer those questions very quickly, because you really do only have a few seconds in most cases to answer those questions. Okay, and then so yeah, and so I'm going to actually respond to one of the questions I saw come in here about features and benefits. So demonstrate who you are and what your firm believes in, and we can talk more about that later. But then also you do need to answer these questions. So somebody had asked a question. I took the rare instance to clarify on that. That look, you do need to set the stage with your brand and who you are, but you also need to answer all of these questions for anybody coming in just a short period of time. Okay. Search engines and SEO. This is one of the most important factors these days to help you get more clients to your site and prospective clients, excuse me, is search engine optimization. Lee is going to talk about that. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time about it here, but your site needs to cover it. And Lee is also going to talk a little bit about making sure your site is mobile friendly. It also should provide tools and ways to interact, and we've talked about that. Okay, So step 2 in your core marketing, the second part of that is your email. And so email marketing, and this is sort of another core piece of your fundamental online marketing that's very important. And the first part of that is growing your email database or getting an email database. And I know that's a challenge for many practices we deal with sometimes. If they've got clients who they don't yet have email addresses for, there's many ways to do that. Many of the different touch points that you have with the clients, offer incentives, give them newsletters, give them PDF downloads or white papers, enter them in drawings, have your staff get involved, make phone calls. There's all kinds of ways that you can really increase the amount of email addresses you're collecting on clients. What I will not recommend, and this is important too, is loading in rented lists or spamming quote unquote your audience. So I would definitely say pay attention to that as well. But please do not load in email addresses that you don't have an opt-in permission for, and then set up automated emails. So lead nurturing, things like, and so what we mean by that is once you get leads in, are you automatically following up with them? Monthly client email newsletters, like this example from one of our clients here. Ways to keep in front of your clients. This can be easily automated, and it's something we help our clients with on our platform as well. And then in addition to monthly email newsletters, also do things like birthday greetings, holiday greetings, requests for testimonials, requests for reviews, requests for referrals. Very important as well. And these are all things, if you have your database loaded, if you have a system in place, and you have somebody like us who can help you manage it, or if it's automated or someone else can help you manage it, these are all things you can send out on a regular basis. Thank you emails, requests to follow up on, to follow on social media. And then also just make sure you're cleaning up your database as well, because that is something that, every 3 to 6 months or so, clean out any email addresses and add email addresses and make sure you're keeping it up to date. And then as far as frequency goes of email marketing, this is another question we get very frequently, is how often? And so some people want to email their clients, twice a week, and that's probably too much. Once every 6 months is definitely not enough. So we usually recommend about 1 to 3 emails a month. As long as it's good content, your clients will like receiving emails from you. So it's usually not a problem. Okay. So on email in particular, we went through a lot of strategies there. So what is not a recommended email marketing strategy? This is the next poll question. I'm going to go ahead and launch that now. So please do pop in there and answer the poll question.
And Brad, I was going to just jump in a little bit on something on the website and the core marketing. There's 2 things I think that are important that firms often miss. One is using social proof, which you mentioned testimonials, but social proof on your homepage. So have your reviews displayed prominently. Have any certifications you have to be prominent. It really helps in building that initial trust factor. And then the other thing that we like, the clients who seem to do the best as far as engagement and conversion of prospects is telling the why you exist. So a lot of times accounting firms, they're so into numbers and analytical stuff, they don't get into the emotional connection, and adding, or maybe stepping back at times and simplifying the message on the homepage, on your website. You can get into details on subpages, but really telling the why you exist and kind of the benefit, the value you add, speaks to your client base and prospects much more. So those are just 2 things I wanted to add, Brad, before we go through this.
Absolutely, that's a great point, Lee. And yeah, and that was sort of related to the question we had. I saw come through on chat, on the questions, which was, rather than just listing features or services that you offer, what about the bigger picture? And that was a great point on that. Okay, so getting back to the poll question, I'm going to go ahead and close that out now. It looks like everybody's had a chance to respond to it, and looks like everybody's also got it correct, which is very good. Thank you for doing that on the poll question. Okay, and then also, sorry, one more thing I did want to address on email marketing before we move off of email marketing. We actually see 50 to 80% open rates, or our clients see that kind of open rate, I should say. I wanted to point that out because you got a lot of questions about, I'm not so sure about email, and my clients aren't reading my emails, and I saw a couple of comments coming through on that. But we've seen, and I've been in email marketing for 20 years, I've never seen the kinds of responses our clients get to their email marketing. And the reason for that, or the primary reason for that, is 1, They don't over-abuse it, which is the thing I said earlier. And then 2, it's really good content that's useful, that your clients will enjoy. In fact, on TaxBuzz, one of the types of reviews that we see come in is a review that says something like, hey, I really love how, Lee Reams is keeping me involved, or, keeping me informed of all the latest tax law changes or all the latest accounting rules or something like that. So we actually see reviews come through for our clients where they comment on how much they love the email marketing. So, we can talk about it offline. I'd love to talk to you more about what you're doing for email, but I saw through a couple of questions come through about that, and so I wanted to give you some stats to sort of proof is in the pudding, and we see it every day. Okay, so now that was step number 2, which was the core marketing, email and website. Step number 3 is really related to social media, and like I said earlier, we do have a webinar from July that's on our YouTube channel. You can find it on ClientWhys.com. At the bottom, there's a YouTube icon there. Click there, and you can see the webinar on social media. So I'm not going to spend a whole much more time on it, but I did want to say that a few things about it. So social media networks that we recommend that you focus on are LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Google. And Google just because they're actually the largest, believe it or not. But you also have to have a Google account for other things. So it's Google My Business and YouTube. So there's other reasons to have Google. But those are the 4 in priority order that we recommend that you focus on. YouTube if you've got video content or you're going to post there, and Instagram if you've got good photos. And so build out your social profiles. Do take the time to build out your company accounts and make them company accounts, not personal, for your firm across those 4 channels. Photos are very, very important. They're one of the most overlooked things we see on social media for accountants. Those are some of our clients and some really nice photos, headshots. In the webinar, we talk about another tool that you can use to test your photos, so check that out as well. But having a very good headshot photo is important for you and your business. And then growing your network. So don't just go on there, claim your profiles, and not do anything. So one, on social media, there's things you can do like uploading your contact lists, searching and connecting with referral sources. There's lots of ways to grow your network. But that's one of the more important things after you claim these profiles and start to get a little bit active, is to grow your followers and your connections. And so you're actually reaching more people on social media. So on social media, another way to build your network is through content. So whether it's original or what we call curated, where you're finding articles and things and sharing them. Photos, as I said, are great. We have this thing called the Social Accountant, where we have some signs that you can have in your office and have clients hold up, like the first one there. Lots of interactive content, news articles, blog posts, videos. There's lots of different ways you can create and share content online. That's a great way to get engagement. And then engage with your connections and followers. And this is also somewhat, it does take some time. You can't have people help with this like us. We do help our clients with it. But you do have to have some engagement and activity, and photos and some of this content is the best way to do it and the easiest way to do it. Along with liking and sharing articles, looking for life events like on LinkedIn if somebody is having a work anniversary or a birthday, and then commenting on that, endorsing people for skills on LinkedIn, and then sending a follow-up email, non-salesy, just, hey, good to catch up with you, good to connect with you, just letting them know, hey, I'm here. And then ultimately asking and sharing referrals. That is one of your biggest goals for social media. It's not even as so much as getting more business from it directly from clients, not all the time. Most of the time it can be just getting in front of other prospective referral sources and media and things like that. And those are some of the key ways that you can grow your following and get more business online. All right, so step 4, I'm going to turn it over to Lee.
All right, thanks, Brad. Let me get this slide moving forward. So before I get too far into search engine optimization, one of the things I want to kind of express is a lot of what we're going to talk about here is things that we believe, and then other things are kind of what we know. So the search engines and algorithms change all the time. This isn't going to be an overview of highly technical, like how you're building the pages. It's going to be much more of, these are the elements that we know and feel from our own client experiences, that what works and what doesn't work. So the basic thing is, we always say, start with Google. So basically, if we're going to start with the search engine that we're going to care about, Google is the largest search engine. Bing and others are important and are actually growing a little market share. But if you can optimize for Google, usually you're going to see good results on the other search engines as well. So one of the things you need to understand in the beginning is what does a Google page look like and what are the different sections. So we searched here just Miami CPA as a search term. On the very top, what you're going to see is all of the pay-per-click. This is the paid advertising. And what you're going to see next is kind of the Google Maps, what the Google My Business listings will show. Now, as Google has expanded and kind of changed through their kind of the user interface for mobile, you're going to see that organic search results are at the very bottom. So where under more places where we have ID accounting, that's the beginning of organic search. So if this is pretty obvious here that your Google My Listing profile is something you should definitely be concerned about and should concentrate on and optimizing it. And the higher you are in the organic search, obviously the better. So if you're not on page 1, the odds, it goes, I think it's down to 5% on page 2 and beyond of getting clicked through. So it's really important that you understand kind of, okay, this is what the real estate looks like. Mobile has changed the way the results work now because Google is trying to make the desktop look and the mobile look be consistent for users. So that's kind of why the reasons a lot of the organic search has been pushed down farther and farther. So to kind of take this further, I want to talk about 2 different keyword strategies to understand. And basically it's branded search versus unbranded search. And when I say that, branded search is what does the world see when they Google your name, your firm name, employees or partners' names on the search results. So that you want a profile like Karen's here where your website is #1 because your brand should rank 1 for your name, right? Your Google My Business listing, the knowledge graph information on the right. We've found that if you get 5 reviews or more, you're going to rank higher on the Google My Business, the maps. And then you're going to see the marketplace sites. And that's usually the review sites. So TaxBuzz, Yellow Pages, Yelp, Facebook, things like that. So when you're concentrated on branded search, you need to make sure that you don't not list partners, and we see it a lot. Well, your firms will do an about just about the firm, but not have specific pages and content for everything that is connecting with their clients. And not all clients are going to go search or remember the firm name. They might just search who they're working with. So you want to control what the branded search results look like, and you want a profile that if someone lands on it and searches your name, they don't see a 1-star Yelp rating, #1 above your firm name. So if you're optimizing your keywords and you're optimizing your website, these are the type of results you should see. So now let's go into non-branded. So this is, I am looking for a CPA firm in Newport Beach. I am looking for payroll services. And looking for expat taxes. So these are non-branded keywords. So it's kind of a different strategy when you're developing content around these type of things. What we're going to talk about a little bit is long tail searches, and what that means is if you type in CPA, how many results will you see versus Miami CPA offering tax preparation, you're going to start narrowing the field of competition. So the more you can take advantage of kind of concentrating on long tail search terms, the higher your firm is going to rank. This is really important when you develop content for your site. So let's just say content like blogging, and you can identify, let's say, life events, things like that. So those are longer tail search terms, which means less competition in the search, and the more likelihood that you can get ranked on that type of content. So the other thing you need to realize is a lot of things are now location-based. So local SEO is becoming more and more important. Why is that? Obviously, the GPS and all the phones tells the search engines where you are. Most ISPs, when people are on desktops or their cable companies, whatever, the search engines have an idea of where you are. So the closer you are to the city center, the closer you are to the searcher, the more likely your brand's going to be positioned. So that's why it's important to include your city, your state, your services in a lot of your, not only your meta descriptions, but also even in your URLs. So having that is just another factor that kind of helps you rank. So let's kind of get into what we'll call what matters. And this is a area that, what I'm showing right now is a survey that Moz does, one of the leading voices on local marketing. It might be hard to see, but the basics are there's a couple different ways you need to think about SEO. One is what your on-page optimization is, and secondarily what your off-page optimization looks like. So when I say on page, those are things do you have your meta titles written correctly? So if it's a branded search, you want your name in the front of the meta title and then not pushing a Miami CPA. So you want to tell the search engines, okay, on a branded search, you're putting your name and the information that you want to show, and if it's a non-branded search, you're going to want to use some of the keywords that are local, whether it be the city, whether it be the service, and then you would put your firm name kind of at the end of the meta title. So that's kind of a technical side. You also want to make sure you have your name, address, phone number on your website. You want to make sure you have a map and a contact us page. It amazes me how many CPA sites or accounting firms just do not do that. And since the search engines use the consistency of your name and address and phone number across the web when they rank your brand, it's kind of it's one of those things where it's a very simple on-page thing to use to help increase your visibility. So external, let's talk about off-page. I just talked about NAP, so that's name, address, phone number. So think of it this way, your list on Facebook, it's on the yellow pages, it's on some local aggregator or directory site. If your name or phone number, let's say, is different on each of these directory listings, it basically is a kind of a warning sign to the search engines that this information is not accurate. So why would the search engine, Google doesn't want to have a bad user experience, so if they're not sure, is this phone number correct, is this not correct, they're not going to show you as high in ranking. So one of the big things on the off page is really getting a consistent look. So if you've had a firm name change, if you've moved, if you are missing the suite number and it's not consistent, that is a factor when it comes to ranking on the search engines. So you want to make sure that that is consistent as possible. The other thing that is a huge differentiator is inbound links. And the old way of SEO is people would game the system and get a bunch of garbage inbound links, and they would build up their authority to their brand by doing that, and Google has cut through that with all their algorithms. But what we've found is just one or two quality inbound links from an authority in your area can make the difference between being on page 2 and being on the top of page 1. It's a huge thing, and it's worth the time, and I'll kind of talk about it here in a second. Review signals. Not only do reviews show the social proof, but it's a huge bump in SEO ratings. So not only in your Google My Business, we said that magic number of 5 reviews on your Google My Business listing. We have found on TaxBuzz the professionals that we have gotten 10, 20, 30 and growing type of reviews, they've all listed in the search results. So not just what it looks like as far as people seeing the reviews, but they've actually seen their main website grow as well. Social media and how people are sharing your content is also a huge thing. So it's kind of all of these elements combined that really make up what SEO is all about. So there's really hundreds of signals and ranking factors. And these are things you definitely need to think about. So it's these off-site factors that, I always say it takes much more than a website to get found online. And these are kind of the background of how it works and why it works. So a little bit of my little technical side. If people want to talk about it offline, great, but I'll kind of move forward to a little more useful stuff. So what is the useful stuff? Content. So are your services, you have unique pages for each service page. So we'll see sites that have services as one big page and hyperlinks to all the sub-services. That's horrible for Google to know exactly, if someone's looking for a payroll service provider in Irvine, you want them to land on a page about Irvine payroll. And you don't want it to be one big page that has a bunch of listings and services. So that's an area that if you want to have one takeaway, break up your service pages. Another takeaway on that is if you are looking for areas that, let's say you're in Atlanta, but there's some cities near you that you want to target, you might want to include landing pages with those services and names and talk about those areas specifically. So you might have a couple different service pages for different cities. You want to make sure you have the staff names, the bios. I've already talked about that before, but a lot of accounting professionals seem to sometimes lack that and don't put it. Even our own clients, we'll sit there and say, no, you need to put this on your site. For whatever reason, they don't feel comfortable about it, and that is a negative because that's where a lot of traffic comes from, and it's a lot of the reputation side. We're big into niches, different type of services, and it kind of goes into the long-tailed SEO side is the more vertical your service is, the more likely you will rank higher, so there's just less competition. Some helpful content, video blogging. YouTube is the second biggest search engine on the internet. It's kind of a no-brainer that if you can figure out how to put valuable content in video form, it is a big plus and a lift in your search as well. We've talked about testimonials and reviews. I think it's one of the biggest differentiators, whether you're trying to be found through new prospects, but more importantly, just getting more referrals and closing the referrals that you get. And then social links. So make sure you are where your clients are. And obviously in the mobile world, they're spending less time on desktops. They're spending more time in apps. And what that means is they're in Instagram, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, and they're on their mobile phone. So if you don't have a presence where they are, that is going to affect you as you try to grow your practice. A little bit about the technical side on a site. So if you're not using a responsive site, meaning it's a mobile friendly, and what that means is the size of the website will change based on the screen size. Google does penalize that when people look on mobile. On our TaxBuzz site, we have just about 50% of our traffic from mobile. So if you're not getting mobile traffic, your website probably is not optimized because people obviously are on their phones. How fast does the site load? Do you have a sitemap? Do you have, it's not here, but do you have a keyword URL? So meaning you have the keywords in your URLs versus numbers or unique identifiers. It's kind of lazy programming would use. Make sure all your meta titles are unique throughout the site, and your descriptions are definitely more of like the selling, kind of the why, and don't stuff a bunch of keywords. And then make sure, of course, your name, address, and phone are consistent throughout.
Okay, very good. Oops, and sorry, Lee, go ahead. We got one more slide there. I was jumping in.
No, I was going to, you're jumping to poll question 3. So let's talk a little bit about the off-page. These are the off-site factors. The review sites, the marketplace sites, there's a reason Google is indexing these higher now. It's because it gives the user a better user experience. They can now, everything's transparent on the web. They can now compare multiple professionals very easily through a site like TaxBuzz, through Yelp, Angie's List. These are many of the sites that are performing very well. What you're going to see is they are competition for your brand in local areas now. We're working very hard at TaxBuzz and building up our city pages and getting a lot of inbound leads, to really matching up the best professionals in our network with people that need help. So I think it's a key thing there. Local directories. There are a number of sites. This could be, whether it be local blogs, this could be bigger directories, but they all have local pages now. That's Yahoo, Bing, Yellow Pages, the local.com. This is all the things you need to worry about. And then we talked about this, the quality inbound links and citations. But an example, if you can get an article written about you by a local blog or a local newspaper, we did this for Russ American, a world agent in Camarillo. This type of again, it's social proof, it's a quality inbound link. It can make amazing results to how you're indexed. So it's worth the effort. We reach out for our brands to local bloggers. A lot of times we'll find a realtor with a high authority site and set up a guest content post about tax issues for a client, so we'll actually get a post on their website with an inbound link. We found these things to be very beneficial in raising the awareness of your brand. Guest posting, it really generates positive PR, but as far as industries like ours that are not as competitive in SEO, just getting 1 or 2 of those inbound links really pays dividends. And then, of course, the social media sites and activity. So you don't want a site that's dead, it doesn't have a lot of activity. These are things you can automate, you can schedule posts, and we like to tell people to keep it within your area of expertise. We have some clients that we see occasionally sharing recipes and things that, unless you're specifically into restaurants or that kind of clientele, we found they get very little engagement. So, sharing content that's showcasing your expertise has really paid dividends. So Brad, I think we're now ready for that poll question. Go ahead.
Yeah, great. And I guess unless you're an accountant that works with restaurants, maybe that recipes might be okay on that. Okay, so the poll question, we'll go ahead and launch that here. Get the slide. So going through the SEO that Lee just went through. So which strategies will help you? in your search engine optimization. So we've got 4 choices here. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. There it is. Okay. Okay, so it should be launched for you. So A, getting lots of reviews on sites like TaxBuzz and Google, testimonials and reviews on those sites. A mobile-friendly site with web fresh content, accounting and tax content. Getting other websites to link in, those inbound links to your website from other sites. Or all of the above, or all of these strategies. And again, choose the best answer, that strategies that you could use. And the other thing I wanted to say too, as people are finishing up here, go ahead and please do that before I close it. But you're not alone. There are a lot. And I saw this the other day. I actually posted this on LinkedIn. I was picking on a very big firm. I mean, this is a firm who has thousands or tens of thousands of employees, and I went to their site the other day, and it wasn't even mobile responsive, mobile friendly. And our clients have had mobile responsive sites now for over 3 years, right? So, so even some of the big guys aren't doing this well. So don't feel bad about that. But the good news is there's a lot of really simple things like reviews. That's the thing we harp on over and over, but it's super simple to send out an email to your clients to ask them to visit you on these pages, to like you in social media. There's some of these things that are pretty interesting and pretty easy to do. So don't feel bad if you haven't, if you feel like you're behind, and we can also help as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll question. It looks like we've got everybody to go ahead and finish that. Okay, and then back over to you.
Okay, so step 5, building a 5-star practice, and we've been kind of harping on it during this webinar so far, but I can't say it enough how important this is. Do not be afraid of reviews. They absolutely work. They work quickly. If you want something to change your organic search results and even your conversion of prospects and visitors to your website, get 5, 10, 15 fresh, good reviews. Your clients tell the story of what you do and sell it better than you can ever do. And not only that, a lot of times they include in their reviews a lot of long-tail keywords that you may not have thought of. They might give it an exact kind of example of how you value them. They're giving you your why. And I think having the clients tell your story is remarkable. And I think it's common sense, but let's back it up a little bit here. A bunch of surveys, and they're all around this number, but 92% of consumers read online reviews. I would say to you, and I don't have a statistic right here, but a lot of people can see right through the fake ones. So if you have a bunch of reviews that are one line and there's 20 of them, consumers, that could be kind of a negative red flag. So go out and get real client reviews. The star rating is the #1 factor used to judge a business, and ask Amazon about it. I mean, look at it. They're the best seller online of anybody, and look what they do. They have those reviews front and center. I think it's a big part of the best sellers, and it's the transparency. It really helps. So forget about the side of converting clients when they read these things about you, but it does help your search engine optimization. We showed that through the Moz survey. They said it's around 10% of the formula, kind of the factors are in the review side. Convert more prospects into clients. I mean, they do. They sell they sell you better than you can ever sell yourself. They do generate more referrals because think about it this way. The old-fashioned way of a referral, someone says, who do you work with? I like so-and-so. The first thing that person's going to do is they're going to Google your name. And going back to that branded search, what they see under your name on that search result is going to really affect, one, do they convert to clients? But more importantly, before someone refers to you, if you have a poorly built website or if you have a bunch of 1-star reviews, what do you think the likelihood of somebody putting their reputation on the line to refer you is? It's very, very low. Now, on the other side, it's kind of like high school where we have a client, I don't know, they're over 80, I don't know if they're 90 reviews now, but it was interesting the way the reviews started coming in. It was like everyone would try to one-up the next person. And it really does help generate more referrals. And so it's much more than the SEO lift. It's really kind of another combination there that people don't always think about. So, we always say create a practice worthy of 5 stars. So one thing that we cannot do, and we're not trying to sell in this, we're trying to educate, but if we're selling, one of the things we can't do for people yet, we haven't decided to start actually closing the deal, but one of the biggest factors we have is we send all these leads to somebody. They'll get inbound leads. They won't respond. They get a phone call. They don't have a voicemail. There's certain basic stuff that the biggest pet peeve I have with our industry right now is they don't take the time, our professionals don't take the time to really think through the processes that they need to put into place, including all the staff members, and really have that engagement from the beginning be dialed down. So no matter how well you build your reputation, if you don't respond to these people and you don't respond to clients, you're not going to get referrals, and most likely you're not going to convert new people that come through the web. Build a strong brand presence. This is your website, social media, emails. These are all the things they need to be consistent across everything. This is all, think of it as your website's kind of pull technology, social media, newsletters is push technology, where you can push your message to your audience, and it's a huge deal where you can just push stuff and automate it and make it easy and then see results. So I think it's a big deal on building out your profiles. Make sure you put pictures. Make sure you have the right categories in place on TaxBuzz, Google, Yelp, Angie's List, all of these. So these are, if there's one thing you take away from today's presentation, if you only wanted to focus on anything, focus on the reviews, focus on your reputation. It really, really matters. So let's talk about this a little bit. Yelp is kind of they're anti-asking for reviews. They don't believe in it. And what's happened really is they've become kind of a foodie site, meaning it's more critics. It's people that Yelp all the time. And to me, in our vertical, it doesn't really apply. A lot of your clients aren't active Yelpers. They might leave a review for you, and the Yelp algorithm will actually suppress it. They'll hide it. So what's kind of the purpose? So if you're kind of build up your own reputation, don't let a third party like Yelp control what people see. Why not be proactive and go out there and attract 5-star reviews? So we actually have a campaign that we've created via email that has been very effective. You want to include links to your review sites on your website, your email, social media. So everywhere your firm has a presence, make it part of kind of what you do. The other thing we always say is actively respond. So if you get good reviews, thank them. If you have someone who you have, has a 1-star or had a bad, obviously you can't make everybody happy, and there might be clients that you fired and didn't want to deal with. We have a whole, Brad wrote a great article that he put on LinkedIn about avoiding the 1-star review. But one of the things we always say to people is, a lot of times we'll get the reactive person who had the 1-star review and then comes back to us and says, hey, what do I do about it now? Well, if you had already had 20 5-star reviews set up already, I think that would obviously bury that 1-star review. And it makes it the kind of the review profile of your brand even look more authentic. So those are kind of some things that I would definitely look at. And to your own horn. So post testimonials and reviews on your website. Make it prominent on social media. Share them. People love seeing it, and it kind of goes to the validate, again, that social proof of who you are, and it makes people feel better about working with you. It affects the amount you can charge and kind of how long they will remain clients. It's a big element to it. But I think that's a good overview, and I've kind of gone a little long here, but I wanted to make sure everyone kind of understood this point as one takeaway they can take. But I'll go ahead and hand it back over to you, Brad.
That's great. Thanks, Lee. Really good stuff. And just a reminder, so to go back through them, the 5 steps that we walked through: setting your strategy, setting up your core marketing, your website and your email, building out social media, focusing on SEO to get some search rankings, and then finally building that 5-star practice. So those are all very key strategies. As I mentioned, we have a lot more detail, in particular on social media and reputation. But as far as the pitfalls to avoid, we actually talked about some of these already, and so I'll quickly go through them. We actually have a blog article on the top 16 mistakes, or I think we called it things that are knocking your practice down. So you can check that out. But watch out for long-term sales contracts. Don't have your relative or your son build out your website, or manage your marketing for you. Not getting online reviews. We've talked about that so many times, but don't be afraid to get a bad one. I mean, we have so many clients who are afraid of doing this. They do it. They get awesome, fantastic reviews. I mean, we've almost had clients in tears with all the great reviews that they get from their clients. So don't be afraid of it, and be ahead of it. Don't hide from your clients. Don't avoid. And Lee already went through this, but put your photo on there, your address, your phone number. And some people ask questions about what if you work out of your home. And I'll answer that in a quick second here. But so don't hide, and then don't rely on a really old, out-of-date website. Don't rely just on offline, either offline word of mouth or offline advertising. You can't avoid it these days. And then, surprisingly, when clients do start to do well, what happens next? What happens when you do start getting more phone calls? How are you going to handle that? As Lee said, are you going to answer the phone? Are you going to respond? So those are some of the key pitfalls that we see almost every day, at least one of these things on this list every day from our clients. Okay, poll question number 4. And this is a super easy one. And technically, I guess there's no wrong answer. But anyway, so yeah, what would you want? Do you want to learn more? And there's a lot we covered today. We obviously could only cover this on the surface for many of these things, but we'd love to work with you. We'd love to talk to you. This is free. It's complimentary. Go ahead and either respond to us on this poll question, obviously, or you can follow up with us afterwards. You can actually schedule some time with me if you wanted, or also my colleague Steve. But go ahead and answer the poll question. We'll go ahead and launch that now. And I would encourage you to get some help, to talk to us. We would love to help you answer more questions that you have. A lot to cover. But there are some very simple things we can recommend. It's not a heavy sales pitch. It's just we are here. We can help, but we're doing this webinar because we do want to educate. We do want to share. We do want to help small practices, and we help many every day. So there's a lot of these things that we can go over in more depth, if we talk to you. So please do, take us up. It's free, no charge. So we'd love to talk to you about it. And go ahead and give that just another minute. Please go ahead and respond one way or the other. And go ahead and close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Want to make sure I give everybody the time that they needed to respond to that. All right. That is the main part of our presentation. So now I'd like to have you go ahead and send any questions. We've got a ton of questions that have come in, so no shortage of questions here. So you can start scanning through them, and I think we've responded to many of them already, but I'm going to go ahead and scan them in a minute as well. We will have another we don't have a topic identified quite yet, but we look for another webinar coming from us in probably late September. So please do keep an eye out from emails from us about the video, about the CPE credit, and then as well, please do join us for the next webinar. So we do, if you were more active, we may have a special note or something coming your way. Also, so this is really important as well, because I imagine 80 to 90% of the folks on this call, maybe if not more, have some aspect of what we talked about today that we could help you with. And I challenge you on that. Maybe everybody on this call is doing so well they don't need help, and that's fine too. But based on what the clients, the websites we see, the social media, the SEO, there's at least one, if not many ways, somebody like ClientWhys could help you. So you would get 20% off the first 3 months of any new service with us on a monthly package. Some restrictions on that, but either mention Web20 or let us know that you're on the webinar if you want to take advantage of that discount on our services. And then we also have $100 off a TaxBuzz annual package, as well as anywhere from $100 off to 100% off any of the setup fees. So there's some restrictions on those. So I'd love to talk to you about these as well and get you started. So please do mention that. And that does expire on September 16th. Okay, before we sign off here, I think we still do have Matt on the phone from CPA Academy. So thank you, Matt, for joining us. We are going to get right into the questions, but Matt, anything else you wanted to add before we get into the questions?
Yeah, well, just on behalf of CPA Academy, I want to say thank you both so much. Fantastic job. Really do appreciate these insights, and I love seeing all the questions coming in. So you got your work cut out answering it.
We do.
See some great comments as well, saying thank you for the seminar, excellent information, really enlightening. Looking forward to putting this in practice. So some good comments in there too, and I appreciate seeing those. Just a reminder for those of you who registered through CPA Academy, we'll get to work on issuing your credit through the normal way. You'll have an opportunity to fill out the evaluation following the session on CPA Academy. It takes us about 24 hours, and we'll get your certificate out to you. You'll see an email from us, or simply just log into your account. But I want to thank you both, guys. Obviously, a great job, and I really appreciate the content that you share with our members here. So I know you have a lot of questions to address, so I'll step back out of your way and turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it, Matt. Okay, so Lee, did you anything you wanted to pull out there that you wanted to pull out on the questions?
Yeah, I'll start with Mark, and he had asked, he read in Entrepreneur Magazine that email blasts are now less effective than mobile contacts. How do I feel, how do we feel about that in relation to our type of business? So a couple different things. I think, one, I don't consider anything that we send out on our clients' behalf as an email blast. I look at it as educational content that you are trying to use to keep, one, your name in front of your client, two, you're trying to strengthen your client relationship, but more importantly, if you're writing about life events or you're writing about things that are happening in their lives, your clients are going to read it and they're going to respond and they're going to value it. And we have found that email is still a very strong way to communicate with clients. Secondarily, as far as the social side, one of the big issues, let's just talk about Facebook, is the algorithms really are throttling your business message. Unless you're boosting posts, you're not going to get as much engagement from the social side. So the email newsletter, Facebook can't throttle. They can't stop the delivery of what you're sending on if you're posting something on Facebook, they can, and that can kind of limit or the effectiveness of your posting online. I do think they're two completely separate animals, though. One is more the educational side. Social media is social. It's supposed to be more of a social interaction, showing your personality. I think so that answers your question, I hope, but that's kind of one of the things I don't totally agree, especially in our vertical. You're not trying to sell them through email. You're trying to educate and keep in contact, keep your name out there.
Yeah, that's a great point. And as I said earlier, we see the proof is in the pudding. I mean, our clients see 50 to 80% open rates, and it's because of what Lee said. It's really good content. As far as text messaging, and that's one of the things we get. So when people say mobile, sometimes what they mean is they want to send text messages to clients. So for appointment reminders, that's probably a good idea. If you're trying to sell additional services for our vertical and for your clients, I don't know a whole lot of your end clients who are going to want to get texts from you on a regular basis about marketing or your services or things like that. So that's something we definitely wouldn't recommend. Appointment reminders and keeping in touch with them for important things are something that are okay, and actually our platform handles some of that as well. Okay, so going to the next question in here, and that was another one that was about texting. The other thing I wanted to address, and there was a couple questions about this, and Lee mentioned a little bit too. So a lot of people ask about advertising. So whether it's AdWords or a salesperson called them and said they should be buying X, Y, and Z advertising, whether it's Yellow Pages or online, whether it's Facebook ads, as Lee mentioned, things like that. We usually recommend that you get all of these core building blocks in place before you really even think about spending a whole lot of money to advertise, because a couple of reasons. One is, if you spend a lot on advertising to drive people to a website, for example, that's not professional, it's not doesn't answer the questions we talked about earlier, or if you don't have any reviews or testimonials, if you're not on social media, if you're not blogging and showing your expertise, all of these different things, if you push people to a site and your brand that doesn't have those things, you're sort of wasting money on advertising anyway. And these things, once you get them in place, if you wanted to advertise, we then say, well, maybe there are some things you can consider there that might be effective for you to accomplish your goals. But I did notice a couple of questions around advertising, so I wanted to mention that. That's another whole probably webinar to talk about. But the reason we don't spend a lot of time on it is because you really should be using content marketing, reputation building, the things we recommended, your core marketing, before you really even think about spending a whole lot of money on other advertising. Lee, did you want to go ahead and take another one?
Yeah, so Robert had asked, he missed the metadata discussion, and I didn't go into huge technical things here, but just a couple things about meta titles and meta descriptions. What I did mention is there are two different types of the way you should write these. For branded search, you're going to want, just think of it this way, anytime you write a meta title, you want the most important keywords that you want to rank for to be in the front of the meta title. You want to make sure that you're within the character counts there. And you want the meta description to be more of the why or the benefit. You do not want to keyword stuff. That doesn't, it looks bad, it's spammy, and it doesn't work anymore. If you're writing content around different subjects and you're keeping that subject matter in your meta title, meta description, and then the content of that page, then you'll be rewarded in Google. What will happen is if you stuff keywords and the topic is payroll, but you're talking about virtual CFO services in the meta title description, that page isn't going to rank. So try to keep everything consistent and try to keep that topic that you're talking about very focused, because Google will reward you. And more importantly, think about it from the user experience. When they go to that page, what you were writing about, you didn't cheat them. You didn't trick them into coming there. You actually are delivering the content and kind of what the searcher's intent was. So I hope that answers that question, Robert.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab another one. Tiffany had asked some questions about clients accessing documents and things like that. So we do have in our platform, it's not really marketing per se, although it's convenience and it is something you can have on your website. We have what we call a portal, a client portal, where clients can securely come in and get confidential documents, upload documents to you, different documents that you might need to prepare the tax return, the actual tax documents themselves. We actually have electronic signature as well on our platform. There's others as well that are out there. But that is something that is a nice convenience for your clients, and we do see very heavy usage for that every day, and that may come back in terms of either your responsiveness or the convenience factor to help build up your reputation and your practice and your client satisfaction. So that's a good question. We do have that in our system as well. There was a couple of questions. I'm also going to go ahead, Lee.
I was going to say, Neil had asked a question about, and we actually, Brad and I talked about this, and we have this internal discussion all the time, is about scrubbing your social footprint for divisive political positions. And his thinking was, why cut your potential clientele in half? Our thinking is the same, but that we have seen many professionals who are out there with their opinion on social media, and it works for them. Their clients kind of know, that's your personality, that's who you are. When it comes to content that we post on behalf of our clients, we stay away from, we've gotten feedback because we use the word Obamacare versus Affordable Care Act, even though if you survey how many people know Affordable Care Act versus Obamacare, very few would. But what I'm getting at is that, yeah, if you're afraid of any negative kind of blowback, yeah, you definitely want to stay away from, those subject matters. I mean, we're doing an infographic right now on the differences between Trump and Clinton's tax proposals, and then what is the current tax law. And that is something we'll share on our branded sites like ClientWhys, but we were very careful on sharing any of that type of content on our client site. So it's kind of a personal decision, but we as a company say, yes, we agree. Why cut your potential clientele in half?
Yep, and these days, I guess it's cut it in thirds or something. I don't know. Not really bipolar anymore in terms of the breakdown. So the other thing, there was a lot of questions about us and our services, and I thank you all for asking those. We'd love to help you. We'd love to. We will have someone follow up with each and every one of you, one way or the other, and we will get you some more information. But our packages are really affordable, and one of our founders, Lee Reams Sr., has been in the tax business for 30 years. We really do. We have a passion for working with accountants and tax professionals. So that means a couple of things. One is we built out a very good system. Our technology and our people are really good. Years and decades of experience doing this. Our technology is top notch. So we want to help you succeed. So we really mean that. Our packages are almost all monthly. So we don't lock you into like long-term agreements. So for whatever reason it's not working out, that's great, but we have a very high retention rate. But they're also affordable. So we will get in touch with you. I see a lot of questions there, so we do appreciate those about pricing. Packages start at like $69.95 a month and go up from there. So it's really, basically less than the cost of your cell phone or your cable bill, which I think for me it's like double that price right now. But to get you some great, solid, foundational, your website, your email marketing, social media, reputation building with ClientWhys. So we can cover a lot of bases with pretty affordable packages that we have, and we'll get you information. Or you can visit ClientWhys.com as well. We have a lot of information there on our packages. Oh, and then Lee, I do want to answer one more, just because we keep getting this question. We have a lot with our clients too. This is on if you're working from home, working virtually, cloud accounting, all fantastic things to do. However, the only caveat to that, and Lee kind of addressed it earlier, is that Google predominantly considers, Google and other search engines, actually your clients too, now at least, they're getting more used to it, but right now at least, they consider local businesses. So if you type in CPA, if you type in tax preparer, if you type in tax services, those kinds of things into Google, they will predominantly show you local results. The map will pop up, they'll show an address there. So what we recommend there, it's a little bit of an additional cost for you, but is at least getting a UPS store or like one of those boxes, not a PO box because Google doesn't like those, but either a UPS store box or a virtual office, something like Regis or DaVinci. They offer virtual office spaces where you don't have an actual office, it's just an address, a physical address. Something like that, or we have some clients who share offices, or they sort of rent the address from like an attorney or a law firm or something like that, where somebody does have an office and you can just sort of receive mail there, those kinds of things. So there are many options, but yeah, I can understand why people might not want to list their home address on the internet, number one, but at the same time, you have to have one. You really do. You have to have an address, and actually in some cases, we have clients who actually do fantastic. They actually do better than they would have with a real office with virtual offices, and getting closer to the center of the city. And other clients use that as a second city sort of strategy, where you may be in one city, and if you want to get more clients, you can, or if you're in a rural area, you actually open up a virtual office in another city with a box address. So a lot of questions about that, and we can help you with that as well. But you really do need an address, and it can't be a PO box. And if you don't want to use your home, then there's a couple options you can use on that.
Yeah, so Brad, I was going to we still have a lot of people on, so I'm going to keep, as long as they're still on, we'll just keep answering questions, I think. Where does a sole practitioner start? Christopher had asked that question. And I think kind of I don't like to come out and just sell, but what ClientWhys has done is we have created a system that is built for smaller firms. If you're an individual up to a certain practice size, we accommodate it, but we basically tackle all of the issues you need to for online branding and getting found. It's not where you just go put up a website and then you wonder why it's not working. We tackle your social media. We do that for you. We make it easy. We have this content that is distributed to your client base. We help you get reviews. We help you get online appointments. So we built a kind of a dashboard application, so to speak, that does tackle all these issues that, quite honestly, you could end up spending thousands a month trying to replicate, but we do it for a specific vertical, so we know, A, what works. Someone had also asked about email and, irritating clients, and we see it. I mean, if you see it in your practice, perhaps you should look at kind of what is the messages that you're sending. We see, at times I've had someone say, can you turn my, email newsletter off because I got too many appointment requests? I mean, that seems crazy, but that is kind of what happens. So I think as a sole proprietor, as a system that is easy and kind of runs itself, you don't have staff, you don't have a team. We know you want to spend time billing for what you're doing and making it easy to grow. That's kind of what we do. So that's my suggestion, Christopher, kind of the whole reason we do what we do. We don't, like some of our competitors, we do not go, here's your website, you're on your own, good luck, because we know it doesn't work. We know there's a reason we spent so much money building TaxBuzz to kind of control the reputations of our industry and our customers, because we know that it works. And these are the things that I would suggest.
Okay. And yeah, we'll keep going. So if you do need to drop off, feel free. You will get more information on the CPE credits, and you'll get the emails out with the link to the video and the webinar. But we do have some additional questions to come in, and we're happy to do that. So we can keep going. And thank you, Andy, and a few of the other folks, and Tiffany, and a bunch of folks who are sending in their thank yous for the webinar. We love doing this. This is what we do for fun. We would do it all day long if you guys would stay with us. Anyway, there was a question on percentage, and so Robert had asked this: what % of income should you allocate or should you assign to advertising or marketing? No magic formula there, Robert. Again, for me, when I see with clients, there are very few clients that come to us initially, at least, who really are knocking the ball out of the park, so to speak, on all of these things that we just went through. So the cost is really not even a factor in most cases. I mean, you could get a few small business clients in through some of these things that we talked about that would pay for like our services for a long time. So it's really more a matter of prioritizing and just getting all the good, basic, strong things in place on your website, your social media, your reputation building, email marketing, generating those referrals. And who knows, if you do those things and you get business, and Lee mentioned it, we have clients who spend almost nothing on quote-unquote paid advertising, but they sometimes have to shut down because they're getting so much business from what they do on some of these basic things. So as I said earlier, if you do these basic things, you want to continue to grow, you want to, you're adding staff so you can handle the volume. You have, dreams and you want to grow your practice, you want to be in multiple cities, there's things like that, or you want to enter a new service. That's the other area where sometimes when you're doing all these things well, let's say you want to add a tax resolution part of your practice or your business, or you want to use bookkeeping where you hadn't been doing it before. So getting new clients in new services or getting additional clients or growing faster than you are, though after you're doing all of these things that we said to put in place, those are times to think about, well, maybe are there some key high return advertising things that are marketing things that I could do that I'm not doing right now. That's when I'd recommend thinking about that question. And it's not really in terms of percentage, it's kind of more on what do you expect in terms of return for your money. So if you're going to invest $1,000 a month in some advertising, how many clients are you expecting to get in, and what kind of long-term revenue is that going to generate for you and your practice and your business? And I'd be happy to kind of go through some of those questions with you offline.
Hey, Brad, I'll just again, we still have over 200 still on, so we'll keep answering. William had asked a question about competition appears fierce with online marketing, and I think that is very true on a national level. I think what you need to start thinking about is niches and local. The good news about the tax accounting space, the CPA space, is it's very fragmented. There's many brands out there, but very few are putting their time into really going after digital marketing. So unless you're in a hyper-competitive market, doing some of the things we suggested today will pay dividends. You might not own let's say you had 5 core things that you wanted to bring in leads. You might not be able to get to page 1 for each one, but if you stay with it, it does pay off. And then the other thing is a lot of what we're talking about is evergreen content. So evergreen meaning it continues to deliver months and years after you put it out there. So if you write good content on your blogs, if you're putting together a website that is what people are looking for, your pages are going to stay indexed. You're going to continue getting traffic for years and years from content that you developed 6 months ago. So I think that is kind of something to think about. And then with mobile devices, geolocation, that's what makes I guess an entry for local firms to beat out bigger firms. So it's much harder to manage 1,000 locations versus you as a local business. You can put out really local content. And when I mentioned this earlier, that's where, let's say you live in Ventura, California, and the other market is Camarillo, and another market is Santa Barbara. You could create content that's local to those areas, and that will don't keyword stuff it. Make it so, here's a small business guide for Santa Barbara businesses, and have content specific to those local areas. It will get indexed, and you'll beat, a Yelp or whatever, because they're not going that hyper local. So it's kind of the ability for little brands to stand out online is there. So I wouldn't get distracted or upset. Competition is fierce. It does pay off.
Okay, I'm going to grab another question we had here. Let me get back to it again. Okay, so it was about working with us, but there was also just questions in general about, should I go for one of these companies that's selling me X, Y, and Z? And so, and I addressed this earlier on the top pitfalls to avoid. One of the things we know very well is that our clients, and all of you probably on the phone, or many of you on the phone, receive calls sometimes every day, sometimes many times a day from folks trying to sell you stuff. We have a very small type of sales and business development team here. We practice what we preach. We do get a lot of clients in from referrals, so we do thank our clients that are on the call right now. We love them all. They send us great referrals, but so we understand you get a lot of business from there too. But we know you get a lot of calls every day, and it can be confusing. And there's actually a company here locally who Google was suing because they claim to be from Google and calling small businesses and practices like everyone on the call here. So if you have questions about a particular type of program, you want our honest opinion on it, we'll tell you honest opinion about whether we think a good program is good for you or not. And then the other question related to that is, if you already have a website, that's fine. We still work with clients whether you already have a website, you've got that covered, you've got social media covered. If you want to work with us on just a specific area, we can do that in many cases as well. Where it gets a little tougher is search engine optimization, just because the website is a pretty big component of that. So we do usually, and like I said, and like Lee said, our technology is really, really good. We have invested many years and a good chunk of change in the technology itself, and then the services and the people we have here. So it's very hard for others to top, and especially focused on accountants, and tax professionals. So we have clients, and there's no guarantees on any of this stuff, but we do have clients who their website goes live and they're already on page 1 of Google within a short period of time with just the website. It's not that common, but it happens, and that's based on our websites and our technology. But we do work with many, many clients who have a website with another company, and we come in and we do things like content, where we do the blog, or we do email, or we do social media, or we help them with their marketing, or we help them build their reputation on TaxWhys and on other sites as well. So even if you have a website with another company, that's fine. We will take a look at it. We're probably going to give you some advice on it. You won't get away that easily, because we will take a look at it for you. It is rare, I must say, for clients who come to us where they're really knocking it out of the park on all of the different things we recommend as far as websites go. So we are going to give you our opinion on those, but we'd love to work with you, one way or the other.
So Brad, maybe one more and wrap this up. I have a question.
Yeah, did you have another one, or?
Yeah, I have one for Maureen, and then you can wrap it up.
Okay.
She had asked, I want to add cloud accounting to my practice. Do you have good results for clients who have transitioned as cloud accounting exclusively? First of all, just background, I'm hugely bullish on cloud accounting. I think virtual CFO services, any type of packaged kind of annuity type business models, I think is the future. I think with technology and fintech and everything that's happening is gravitating towards doing more advice building and being able to work remotely with clients is the direction I would be going. So yes, we have clients that are just focusing on cloud accounting. They're doing great. I think it is the future, and if I were you, Maureen, yes, I would either add it to my site or build it out and kind of focus on it, because it does pay dividends, and it's what people are consuming right now. It's what, it's kind of what users and business owners are looking for. So again, we were with NetSuite, I don't know, 10 years ago when it first started, so we're kind of bought in a long time ago, but I hope that answers your question, Maureen.
All right, very good. Well, if you do have additional questions, you can go ahead and email them into us. You have my contact information there. You have Lee's as well. We will also be available if you wanted to set up a quick, 15 or 30-minute call to go through. We can take a look at. I can look at your specific practice or firm, and or my colleague Steve Anderson, who's also going to be following up with some of you as well. So please do look out for that. Look out for the recorded video. We thank you so much for your time. Thank you for spending a good amount of time with us today. And we look forward to seeing you soon. And somebody did ask about, again, we will be continuing to have these kinds of webinars in the future. We are planning for one probably in late September, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you all for your time.
All right, thank you.